The Blackthorn Mine had been dead for decades, a crumbling scar on the edge of Derry, Maine, where the earth had been gutted for coal and left to rot. Folks in town said it was cursed, that the mine took more than it gave, lives mostly, in cave-ins and gas leaks back in the 20s. They whispered about strange lights flickering in the woods near the entrance, about screams echoing up from the shafts at night. I never put much stock in those stories. I'm a rational guy, a part-time history buff with a YouTube channel where I poke around old places and post videos for my 50,000 subscribers. But when I heard about Blackthorn, something about it hooked me. Maybe it was the way the old-timers at the diner clammed up when I asked, their eyes darting like they'd seen something they couldn't unsee. The mine's entrance was a sagging maw boarded up with rotted planks, half hidden by brambles, and a rusted "Keep Out" sign that hung like a drunk on a lamppost. I'd done my research. Blackthorn opened in 1890, peaked during the First World War, then shut down in 1929 after a fire nobody could explain. The official report blamed methane, but the locals swore it was something else, something that didn't burn natural. I set up my GoPro, clipped a flashlight to my jacket, and pried the boards loose. The air inside was cold, damp, and smelled like wet stone and something faintly sour, like milk gone bad. The tunnel stretched out, a black throat swallowing the light. It was eerie, no question. My boots crunched on loose gravel, and every few steps I'd hear a distant drip, like the mine was weeping. Old timbers groaned overhead, and I kept my eyes on the shadows, half expecting to see something move. I didn't. Not then. What I found instead, about 100 yards in, was a seam in the wall. A jagged crack that wasn't natural. It was too straight, too deliberate, like someone had carved it. I ran my hand along it, and a section of stone swung inward, revealing a tunnel. Not a mine shaft, but a tunnel, narrow and smooth, with walls that gleamed like polished obsidian under my flashlight. My heart kicked up a notch. This wasn't on any map. This was something else. I squeezed through the entrance, my backpack scraping the walls. The tunnel sloped downward, the air growing colder, heavier, like it was pressing back against me. My flashlight beam danced across the walls, catching faint etchings, symbols, maybe, or writing, but nothing I could read. They looked old, older than the mine, older than Derry itself. My breath fogged in front of me, and I realized I was whispering to myself, "What the hell is this?" The GoPro was rolling, capturing every step, but I felt like it wasn't just recording for my subscribers. It was like the tunnel wanted to be seen. The passage twisted and turned, sometimes so narrow I had to sidle through, my shoulders brushing the walls. At one point, I tripped over a pile of debris, broken tools, rusted picks, and something that looked like a child's shoe, half buried in the dirt. My stomach twisted. Who'd bring a kid down here? I kept going, driven by that itch you get when you know you're close to something big. Then, I found the first real clue. A metal disc, about the size of a dinner plate, etched with the same strange symbols. It was heavy, cold, and hummed faintly when I touched it, like a tuning fork. I stuffed it in my backpack, my hands shaking, and kept moving. The tunnel ended abruptly at a door. Not a hatch or a gate, but a door. Wooden, ancient, with iron hinges that looked like they belonged in a cathedral. My flashlight caught carvings on it, faces twisted in agony, or maybe ecstasy. It was hard to tell. I pushed it open, and the air changed, warm and thick, like stepping into a greenhouse. Beyond the door was a chamber, vast and domed, the walls pulsing with a faint, bluish glow. In the center stood a stone altar, and on it, something that made my knees buckle. A figure, human-shaped, but not human. Its skin like liquid metal, its eyes glowing like embers. It didn't move, but I felt it watching me, like it was peeling back my skin to see what was underneath. I don't know how long I stood there, my GoPro whirring, my heart hammering so loud I thought it had burst. The figure didn't speak, but I heard something. A low, rhythmic hum, like a chant, coming from the walls. I backed away, tripping over my own feet, and that's when I saw the bones. They were piled in the corners, human and not, some fresh enough to still have bits of flesh clinging to them. The air was thick with that sour smell, stronger now, and I realized it wasn't milk. It was decay. I ran. I don't remember much of the trip back, just the tunnel walls closing in, the symbols seeming to shift and writhe in the flashlight's beam. When I stumbled out into the mine's main shaft, the daylight felt like a lie. Too bright, too normal. I didn't stop to catch my breath. I kept running until I was back at my car, the GoPro still strapped to my chest, the disc heavy in my backpack. Back home, I watched the footage. The tunnel was there, the door, the chamber. But the figure? Gone. The video showed the altar, empty, the bones just shadows. I checked the disc, and the symbols were different now, simpler, like they'd been scrubbed clean. I uploaded the video anyway, titled it, "I found a hidden tunnel in an abandoned mine. You won't believe what's inside." It got 1 million views in a week, comments flooding with theories, aliens, demons, government experiments, but none of them felt right. None of them explained why I kept dreaming about that chamber, about those glowing eyes, about the hum that followed me home. I went back to the mine a month later. The tunnel was gone. No crack in the wall, no obsidian walls, no door. Just solid rock, like it had never existed. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. And sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I hear that hum again, faint, like it's coming from under the floorboards. I don't sleep much anymore. This discovery changed me. It made me question everything. History, reality, the ground we walk on. I used to think the world was just what we could see, what we could touch. Now I know better. There are things beneath the surface, things that don't want to be found. But once you see them, they don't let you go. If you're reading this, maybe you're like me, chasing mysteries, looking for answers in forgotten places. Be careful what you find. Subscribe for more. Share this story with anyone who'll listen, and drop a comment if you've ever seen something you can't explain. I'm heading to an old mill next week. Locals say it's haunted. Maybe I'll find nothing. Maybe I'll find something worse.